I don't know if it's big government or Adam Silver who saw my tweets about his mishandling of the Ja Morant suspension, but somebody doesn't want me to record this video because I've tried 7 times and a leaf blower mysteriously starts turning on every time I get her into recording. But anyway, we're going to get into this. I have something I want to talk about why June 15th matters for NBA fans and what we can look forward to. So right now, we're in the waning days of the NBA season. Most fans have already moved on to mock draft season, scouting prospects, who are we going to take, where are we going to trade, stuff like that. It's inevitable now that the Boston Celtics are going to sweep the Dallas Mavericks, or it's going to be a very short series. Normally, we wouldn't really have much to pay attention to outside of draft prep until the draft, and then that's when Woj and Shams are going to just spoil every pick for us, but we still love them. But anyway, this season marks this offseason marks the beginning of the new collective bargaining agreement that was signed last year by the Players Association and the owners. And we're still trying to figure out what the first and second apron mean and like how you get in it and how you get out of it and all of that nuance. But there's one other notable change that does give us another date to look forward to before draft day. And previously, NBA free agency started on June 30th at 6 p.m. And then there would be a moratorium lasting from that time until July 6th, where, contracts could be reported and announced that they were going to be signed, but they couldn't be officially signed until July 6th. So that remains unchanged. But the one thing that's different is for players that are negotiating contracts with the current team they're playing on or the team that they ended the season with. So why June 15th? The new rule states that players negotiating contracts with the team they finished the season with can start negotiating the day after the final game of the NBA Finals. And so if it looks like the Celtics are going to sweep, the next game is on June 14th, which is today, Friday. If they do sweep, then June 15th, we could actually see some announcements of new contracts with some of the current free agents or the players with player options and things like that, declining it and signing a new deal. So if there's a player that's genuinely testing the free agent waters, this is actually going to give us a kind of a look into what their plans are. Because like a player like Paul George with the Clippers, the murmurs have been that he's actually going to meet with some teams and maybe not re-sign with the Clippers. So if we start getting some murmurs about Paul George in the next day or two, probably means he's going to stay with the Clippers. But for players that are going to stay with those teams, they can start negotiating really tomorrow. Really. So for players that are genuinely going to test the free agency waters, we're probably not going to get any news about them until that June 30th or July 1st timeframe in that moratorium. And then the draft is also about a week or two later than normal, which also has some implications on free agency because there's going to be some teams that probably make some moves on draft day, whether that's a team with cap space taking on a player and using up that cap space, or whether it's a team that doesn't have cap space making a trade that opens up some. So we're going to see some movement during that day that is going to give us more data on what's going to happen in the free agency period. Also, too, like if there's a team with cap space that goes ahead and re-signs their players on this early date on June 15th, that's also going to change things for free agency day. So there could be significant movement during those time periods that really shape the way free agency is going to look, right? So this means that players that aren't so excited about re-signing with their current squad probably going to wait and see which new teams are open for business after draft day. But there are some prominent players that are likely to sign the day after the NBA Finals is over on this June 15th approximate date. So let's take a look at a few of those names. We actually might hear some LeBron James news, given the fact that he has a player option with the Lakers this offseason. It's around $51 million. There's been a lot of talk about, is he going to actually go somewhere else, make a move? Is he going to go back to Cleveland? Are the Lakers going to draft Bronny? I really think that we're going to not hear anything about LeBron right off the bat. I think that he's going to wait. I genuinely do think that he's going to pressure the Lakers into drafting Bronny. And I do predict that he'll end up back with The Lakers probably on a 2 or 3 year deal with a player option, so it gives him some movement. Maybe his final year of this contract, he can go somewhere else. I don't think it's a 0% chance that some other teams don't make a play. We saw the reports that like Bronny was canceling workouts with a lot of teams and he was prioritizing the Lakers. We also heard that he was going to take a workout with the Phoenix Suns. And the Suns do have a late first round pick. Could we see some funny business there with them somehow making some room for LeBron on that roster? LeBron take a smaller contract to sign with them. Just something to note. I don't think there's a high chance that happens. I think it's a really low chance. I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Warriors make a play for LeBron. They have some tradable contracts. If the Lakers really do stonewall LeBron on this whole Bronny draft thing, I think he's going to consider going somewhere else. Maybe not to the team that drafts Bronny, but maybe to another situation where he thinks he could win a title in the next year or two and then finish out his career with whoever drafts Bronny. Not a 0% chance that some other team doesn't come into play here, but I do predict he'll stay with the Lakers. Another player that I mentioned earlier was Paul George. And Paul George seems like he's going to test free agency. But we don't know if Steve Ballmer really comes ready with that long-term contract to stay with the Clippers. Maybe PG just wants to go ahead and lock that up, and maybe he can get traded later on. So that's another name that I think we should be on the lookout for in the next couple of days. Klay Thompson as well. So Klay, we've seen the reports from the local reporters, from some of the national guys as well. He was unhappy with the negotiations last offseason, heading into this season as well with his contract extension. He's basically an unrestricted free agent this offseason. And there are some teams that are going to be making a play for him, like the Sixers or the Magic or maybe even the Thunder. They're going to have space. I think this is going to be really telling for the Warriors and Klay. If the Warriors have done some mending to the relationship in the past few months since their season ended, maybe we do get that contract announcement a little bit sooner before the draft, and then that would just make everything okay. Well, the Klay's going to stay with the Warriors. They're going to prioritize maybe moving the Chris Paul contract, maybe the Wiggins contract, something like that. So I will be on the lookout for Klay. I think that would be the best decision for him. Just be a lifelong Warrior with Steph. Even if you're taking a little bit less money, I think it's the right call for him. But I do understand a Hall of Fame player wanting to be respected when it comes to contract negotiations. I understand his displeasure with maybe them not ponying up the full offer. But if he does wait until free agency opens and wants to take some meetings, maybe put the pressure on the Warriors, I don't think he's going to get any more money from another team than the Warriors would be willing to match. So we'll see really if he has decided that he's moving on from the Warriors or not. But I wouldn't be totally surprised if we got a little news on him early if the Warriors have done some work in the offseason to mend that relationship. Another one is James Harden. I haven't heard anything about the Clippers not wanting to bring him back. I think he's a smart guy to bring back because he is a player, unless he really drops off next season, that can steady the ship while Kawhi Leonard inevitably misses time with injury, especially if they're not going to bring Paul George back. I think you've got to prioritize Harden as a guy who can run the offense and provide kind of game-to-game, rising the level of that team game-to-game. And as far as the other notable ones, like from a general free agency standpoint, I think most everybody else like OG Anunoby and Jonas Valanciunas, DeMar DeRozan, I think they're going to test the free agency waters. Slight chance that the Bulls just give DeMar what he wants and he stays and he signs early. The rest of these early signings are most likely going to be like rookie scale extensions, like a Cade Cunningham or something like that. I believe the rules do encompass, this new rule does encompass those contracts. So we could see some news about a team like the Pistons really offering that contract early on. I think it's a no-brainer. I think they're going to do it. So players like that we also might see go ahead and announce, but at least it gives us something. Like, I don't think we're going to get any groundbreaking news on June 15th, but it does matter because it's going to inform us about what teams are going to do on the draft day, whether it's a team that we predicted letting somebody go who signs them early, or it's a team that has cap space that decides to go ahead and use that cap space. I think it's going to inform the way we look at the draft in the final week and the way we predict what's going to happen, and also the way that we view the open market in free agency. I don't think there's going to be a ton of player movement, even though some people have predicted that. I think with this new CBA, it's really going to incentivize teams to keep the guys they currently have. Maybe we see some sign and trades, but that's going to introduce a hard cap and a first apron for teams that do that. I think what we're going to see is most players re-signing with their current team and then potentially midway through next season asking for a trade. I think that's going to be the most likely substantial movement period. It's going to be during the season like we've seen in the last couple of years. Don't think we're going to see anybody a drastic change of hands. But the Sixers cap space does make things interesting. They basically only have Joel Embiid under contract. Tyrese Maxey is clearly going to sign the rookie extension there. They can offer him the most money. So maybe we get some Daryl Morey leaks early on here with what's going to happen there. But I just wanted to let everybody know about potentially June 15th being a cool day to look out for. Gives us something. This hasn't been a super exciting finals unless you're a Celtics fan. Something to look forward to get out of the mock draft kind of monotony as we've now, had so many months leading up to that. But yeah, appreciate a subscribe and a like to the video and the channel. I'm going to be putting out some more videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think we're going to get any surprises in the early free agency period, would love to make some videos about that stuff individually, maybe into some draft trades as well. Peace.